Hi, we have information about a very special group that works with disabled, injured pets. To find out more, please stay tuned for the next Connecting Our Community. Hi, I'm Pat Shoemaker, and welcome to Connecting Our Community. Tonight, our guest is Sharon Circus. She's the Director of Fundraising for a group called Pets with Disabilities. Sharon, first of all, Pets with Disabilities, what does that mean?
All the animals were, first of all, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We were started in 2000, so we're 14 years young. And it was started because the founders, Joyce Darrell and Mike Dickerson, had adopted a small puppy, German Shepherd, who had been out puppy playing and the puppy broke its back. So in taking him to the vet, the veterinarian wanted to put the puppy to sleep, and Joyce and Michael said no. And each hour that went by, the veterinarian kept calling back and saying, you know, we really can't help this animal. And Joyce and Michael just were very dead set on helping this animal. So they brought the animal home, and that's when Pets with Disabilities started. Since he broke his back, he had no feeling at all. His name was Duke. And he was then a wheelchair dog. And that's how Pets with Disabilities started.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you right there. How can it be a wheelchair dog? Was there a company at the time that made wheelchairs for animals? Or?
There was a company that was beginning to make wheelchairs for animals.
But it wasn't the two people with this dog?
No,
okay.
no.
Okay.
So at first, there of course were animals across the country that had all types of injuries. But Joyce and Michael felt that there was really nothing for just disabled animals. So they contacted the people who would make the wheelchairs and was able to get Duke a wheelchair. And Duke lived for 12 years in a wheelchair.
Wow.
And from there, the rescue has 25 dogs now. And any dog that comes into the rescue is disabled. They're either blind and deaf, three-legged or tripod, or they've had an injury to their backside, so they're in need of a wheelchair, or there's a neurological problem.
And so Joyce and Mike, the founders, are not veterinarians themselves? Do they have any kind of medical training?
No,
or
they don't.
Veterinarian training?
No. So, but they do have a host of specialists that they call on, whether it's an internist, a orthopod, a cardiologist, a neurologist, to help when these animals get to them. And there's many different ways that we get the animals.
And that was my next question. How do the animals get
Sometimes honestly, we get a ton of calls and a ton of emails every day, but there's only so many animals that we can take because it's an all-volunteer group. There's not anyone that is on paid staff. And it's really Joyce that does the bulk of the work. Every day, you know, she's up at 5:30 to 6 o'clock and she starts. The wheelchair dogs are in her house, and she's got a beautiful barn where there's 6 apartments where the dogs have beds. There's piped in music and TV. Each apartment has windows. So she just does the absolute bulk of the work, and that includes each day that when the dogs are fed, the bowls are then cleaned, the floors are washed, the linens are done. And since all of the wheelchair dogs are incontinent and they need the most work, she has a lot of cleaning up to do in the morning. And of course, those are the hardest animals to get adopted out. Yeah. We can adopt out the blind and the deaf, or the three-legged, or the neurological animals, but the ones that are in wheelchairs, it's hard to get homes. And if we can't find homes, then Pets with Disabilities becomes their forever home.
So this is I sort of misunderstood. I thought this was an organization that took these animals and helped them until they died, but you actually take the animals, rehabilitate them, and then put them up for adoption?
We have both.
Oh.
We have those that we call sanctuary dogs, and those are animals that will live out their life at the rescue. Some that we attempted to get adopted, and it was just too hard on either the animal itself or just it wasn't the right fit in the home. Others we absolutely adopt out, and we have adopters who have adopted 2 to 3 animals from us.
Wow.
And the hardest part is because these animals, when they come to us, they've either been left at a high kill shelter. That's how we get them, or they're left at a fair. We got 2 blind purebred labs, golden labs, that were left tied to a tractor, and they were brought to Joyce, and it took us maybe 6 to 8 months, and this wonderful husband and wife adopted them, and they're both blind.
Wow.
But like I said, the hardest is getting a wheelchair dog adopted. We've had a couple. One was a Yorkie that got adopted, and they named her Scooter.
Oh.
So,
yeah. Well, how did you get involved in the organization?
well, I have had a lot of surgeries myself, and was waiting at the doctor's office to find out what else was wrong, and saw a Ladies' Home Journal, and there was an article in there that talked about the rescue. And I just immediately thought this was a perfect fit for me to try and help them, to volunteer to help them raise money, because the only way they were raising money was to go to pet expos. And it wasn't bringing in the money that they needed to help these animals. We've had animals come to us that have been shot. And or been hit by a car, and the whole bone of the leg is sticking out. Or they're just in terrible shape, or they've got heartworm. Heartworm can easily run $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
And the animal needs to be in relatively good health before they start the treatment. And then once they start the treatment, you have to be able to keep the dog quiet for 2 to 3 months.
Wow.
So it's an arduous task, but it's so worthwhile, because there are so many healthy animals that have 4 legs, or that aren't blind, that aren't deaf, and can find homes. And what ends up with these animals is they become throwaways. And so we just felt that these were the animals that most needed us and most needed our help.
So where is the facility itself? Is it
It's
national? If you saw it in a magazine, a national magazine?
Well, we're the only all disabled rescue across the country. There's a blind rescue, but we are the only totally disabled rescue.
And it's located
It's
in
located in
Montgomery
Calvert County.
Oh, Calvert.
So
okay.
it's in Prince Frederick, Maryland. So it's about an hour from here. Since there's only money that comes in through fundraising. So once a year we host a large fundraiser, which Running Hare Vineyard, which is a beautiful vineyard that's within a mile of the rescue, donates their Tuscan-style events building to us. So we're able to hold this big event and bring money in that way. We also do smaller events around the year. We go to the Baltimore Orioles. They have a community booth and raise money. But fundraising is where we need help the most. We need money to come in so that we can afford to help these animals.
Yeah. And so you said that Joyce gets emails and calls and whatever. So if someone were to see an animal by the side of the road, or I mean, what's the process? What would generate the call or the email?
It can be it's mostly people who have either taken an animal to a high kill shelter. Maybe they'll make a call and say, can you take this dog in? Or the shelter will call and say, can you take the dog in? Or they found it laying along the side of the road, and the owner will take it to the vet and want to put it to sleep, and the vet will say, no, I won't put it to sleep, but we have a rescue that You know, if you'll relinquish the dog,
Yeah.
then we can help the dog.
Yeah. And do you ever have people who in that particular circumstance, go to the vet, and the vet says, you know, I won't put this dog to sleep, relinquish the dog, and then it's taken in, and then the person comes back and says, no, I want my dog back now that the dog has been
We had
rehabilitated?
that
Do you have-
happen one time, and that was pretty recent. But the person had already signed the papers and relinquished the dog to us, and we had already started all of the treatment. So legally, it was our dog,
Yeah.
and so that was fine. You know, we had the law on our side. But
Yeah.
and it makes sense. If they can't afford to help the animal and the vet's
Right.
not going to put the animal down, then let us take the animal and help, and then
Right.
find a perfect home for the
Right.
animal.
And how long does it generally take for the rehabilitation to start?
It
Is there
depends on
the severity of it?
the severity of what's happened to
Yeah.
the dog.
Yeah.
Most of them are with us between 6 to 8 months. And because not only are we trying to heal them physically, but we're trying to heal them emotionally, because they need to gain trust back in the humans who
Right.
have hurt them.
Right. And we're going to stop right there. We will be back after a short break to find out some more about pets with disabilities. Please stay tuned and come right back.
When you donate goods in response to an international disaster, it's expensive.
They have to cross the sea, pass through customs, be inspected, sorted, then finally delivered.
And often they arrive too late to help, making your good intentions feel a little empty.
There is a better way.
Cash donations are fast, simple, and allow professional relief workers to purchase supplies close at hand.
Cash is best. Learn more at CIDI.org.
It's our duty to serve veterans and military families who serve their country in the most difficult ways imaginable. Together, we can say thank you in so many ways. Small acts of kindness mean more than anything. With our support, veterans and military families can face even the most difficult challenges. Let's honor their service with ours.
Hi, and welcome back to Connecting Our Community. We're speaking with Sharon Circus from Pets with Disabilities. And we were talking about the different situations that a pet would be no longer considered a pet and called your organization to take care of the animal. So if an animal is there for 6 to 8 months, intensive care is needed. Excuse me. I would imagine that's very costly, except that you said everybody's a volunteer. So
Again, it depends upon what the animal needs. If the animal just needs but needs a leg amputated, that would be, let's say, cheaper than needing if there's some type of a blockage. Or this one animal that we have who was in the hospital for a few weeks just trying to get healthy enough so that we could start the heartworm. We're already $3,000 in with this animal. So like we had talked about the different ways to raise money, the other ways are on our website. We have all of the different types of food and toys that if people would like to donate, instead of just donating money, can donate those types of things. We also have, through Amazon.com, we have a wish list. So you can donate through Amazon.com, and it just gets direct delivered to the house.
yeah. Do you ever, and I don't know if this is even possible, but do you have sort of a virtual adopt a pet where you don't physically adopt and have the animal living with you, but maybe through your website just adopt to pay for that particular
We do
animal's care?
things like that are called angels, so you can become an angel for a dog, and I think it's $350 for a year.
Oh.
So, and then you become that dog's angel, and that helps to defray the cost of that.
Yeah.
So there's many different ways of helping us,
Yeah.
and we definitely need volunteers.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
Yeah, the money
because
is great, but the volunteers, I would imagine, would be hard to get and keep.
it is very difficult. We actually, I'm just the director of fundraising, so I'm an hour away, so there's no need for me to go down to the rescue. When I'm down there, I help as much as I can. Joyce, the founder, she is the one who is up at 5:30 and does everything. The first thing that she encounters in the morning, since all of the wheelchair dogs, of course, they're not in their wheelchairs overnight and for a lot of the day, but in the morning, since they're incontinent, the first thing she's greeted with is a messy kitchen. So she starts the cleaning process and getting them out into their wheelchairs and feeding, and then she's down at the barn and taking care of all of those animals. And like I said, all the apartments are scrubbed down and cleaned. All bowls are washed. She has one, not quite full-time volunteer, but other than that, it's very sporadic to try to get someone there. So I try to step in and help in other ways that I can as well.
Well, if somebody doesn't maybe have the money but wanted to physically volunteer, are there certain requirements? Do you have to have any kind of training? Or just
No,
you
I
have
mean,
to
if you
love
would,
animals?
exactly, if they would just, call the phone numbers on the website, you just call, you can come down. We have 3 acres that is fenced. So you can come down and love on the dogs, you can groom the dogs. If you like to wash dogs and maybe you're a groomer, you can help in those areas. But the animals just need to have love and attention. But just to see, the biggest thing that people need to realize is that having a disabled animal is absolutely, it's a gift for us, because having a disabled animal, you really see the love that an animal can have for you, because you're their eyes, or you're their ears, or you're their hind legs.
Right.
And so these animals aren't throwaways. These aren't poor babies that should be put down. They should be given a chance at life. They have a will to live. They have such a strong love of life, and you put them in their wheelchairs and they're off in a flash, running around the rescue, playing with the other dogs, whether the dogs that are sighted, or just when I would bring down my dogs, they would be running around with my dogs and playing and fawning the balls and just having a wonderful time. So they deserve a chance. They deserve that chance. And Joyce and Michael have given them that chance.
Yeah. And do the animals who are in wheelchairs stay in wheelchairs? Is there ever coming out of the wheelchair?
They are not. They get put in their wheelchairs either 2 times a day or 3 times a day, and the rest of the time they can either be out on the deck and they can sun themselves, and since they don't have use of their legs, they're pulling themselves along, but their upper body is very strong. So they are in the house relaxing, and in the kitchen where they are, it's a big area, and they all have beds and blankets, water. I mean, they have it's all the comforts of home.
Yeah.
Whether they're in the house with Joyce and Michael, and there's also blind dogs and deaf dogs and tripods. There's 10 dogs in the house with Joyce and Michael. So, like I said, there's 25 dogs in total. But they are only in the wheelchairs a few times. They can't be in them that long.
Now, the organization is called Pets with Disabilities.
Right.
Are there other kinds of pets? Because you seem to only mention dogs.
We have 2 cats, and the cats have feline leukemia. So if we were going to take in another cat, it would have to have feline leukemia. And one of the cats has a cleft palate and is blind in one eye. So, and the dogs get along with the cats, and the cats both cats are in the house. As a matter of fact, both cats are in the house.
Is there any concern about, you mentioned leukemia, but is there any concern of the animals transmitting diseases to
It
each
doesn't
other, or it
transmit.
doesn't?
It'll transmit to another cat if they would get into a cat fight, but it doesn't transmit to a dog. So there's no problem there.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So for fundraising, you've mentioned that you can be an angel to a dog, to a pet. You've mentioned the major fundraisers. Is there anything else that
I mean,
can be done?
besides you can go on the website and there's a place where you can donate. We also ask that for our big fundraiser, which is the first Friday in June, if anybody would like to come, they're certainly welcome to come, and you can buy tickets online. It's very reasonable. I think tickets are $65. And we have wonderful auction items. We do a big silent auction.
With all animal related?
No. It's everything from cooking utensils to all types of sporting equipment that's been signed, to airline tickets, to trips.
Wow.
So we work very hard to bring in the dollars that are needed.
So even people who aren't pet owners necessarily, but appreciate the bottom line of what you're trying to do, could still participate in these events and get great.
Who enjoy wine. This is a beautiful vineyard.
Well, there you go.
And it overlooks, I mean, the gorgeous, so they could come and enjoy a bottle of wine.
And have no idea why they're there. Just come and enjoy the wine.
Dance, bid, have a good time.
Leave your money for
That's
a good
right.
cause. You have no idea what it is, but that's okay.
But other than that, just if you go on, I mean, if you gave up your one Starbucks coffee, that's it. Just your first one Starbucks a week. Just donate $1. If everybody donated $1, look how much money we would have, and we wouldn't have such a need.
And do you find that as the time goes on, you're finding more abandoned animals?
Oh, it's awful.
Oh,
Like
it's getting
Joyce,
worse.
it's worse. It's bad because Joyce has gotten to the point where when you have to decide which animals you're going to take, and we've had 30 adoptions this year, and which doesn't seem like a lot, but
Oh, I
for
think it sounds
disabled
like a
animals,
lot.
it is.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
with Joyce and Michael, it's very important that it's all about the animal. The animal needs to fit in with the family that it's going to go to. Has nothing to do with the humans. If it doesn't work, it's because it doesn't work with the animal. We want the animal to be safe, the animal to be happy, and so we need people to step forward and adopt. And that way we can then bring in another animal because we can only take so many.
Right. Yeah, and you mentioned that some people adopt more than one. Do you find that that's a better thing psychologically for the pet? Maybe a pet has made friends at the rehabilitation center, and if you separate them, have you ever had that kind of a problem?
No, the only time that we have requested 2 pets at the rescue be adopted out were the 2 golden labs because they were brothers, and we felt that was very important because they were bonded. But on the website, when you look at the dogs, and you'll see those that can be adopted, and whether which it should be the only dog in a house, or if it gets along with cats. So it gives all of the information that you need so that you'll know whether or not it would get along with other animals.
Right.
But most of the animals would need to have a fenced-in area,
Because that's
especially if they're not sighted.
right. Right. Excuse me. Well, this has been fascinating. Sad that there has to be an organization that people abandon their pets. Terrible. But luckily there are people like you and Joyce and Michael who take this cause under advisement and work to eradicate the problem. If you would like to help, go to the website petswithdisabilities.org. You can also go to the Connecting Our Community blog on the mymcmedia.org website. Thank you so much for watching. Please go to that website, do what you can, and we'll see you next time for another Connecting Our Community.